we are witnessing the rapid evolution of blockchain, artificial intelligence in compliance systems, digital identity infrastructure, and peer-to-peer platforms. These tools are changing how people save, invest, and transact across borders and in real time. But as these developments are unfolding, there is also the other side of it. Criminals, money launderers, and terror financiers now operate with greater agility, exploiting loopholes in this fragmented regulatory system that we have. Certainly, without resilient, responsive, and a unified regulatory foundation, innovation is at risk of being hijacked by forces that undermine our collective progress. It is no longer to chase innovation. We must govern it. And let us forget that where trust flourishes, investment grows. No investor places capital in opacity, and no entrepreneur scales in uncertainty. The cornerstone of sustainable development is a system that is transparent, predictable, and secure. And let me digress a bit and tell you my journey while I was at the EFCC in line with what we're discussing today. During my service as the chairman, I came to a better understanding that the mandate of the EFCC extended far beyond investigation and prosecution. At the heart of the EFCC is a mission to restore trust in institutions, trust in systems, and trust in the rule of law. We implemented reforms to modernize the processes of asset tracing and recovery, deployed digital tools for surveillance and enforcement, and build collaborative frameworks with both local and international partners. In 2022, with the passage of the new money laundering legislation in Nigeria, the Special Control Unit Against Money Laundering is made statutorily to be domiciled under the EFCC. Thus, the EFCC was made to be a kind of a regulator to the designated non-financial businesses and professions. And thus, we embark on a lot of activities to actualize the mandate. Through these efforts, we learn that regulation must not only be proactive, but also integrated across sectors. It must be able to anticipate risk, deter abuse, and respond in real time, not after the damage has been done. Our goal must be to build systems where integrity is embedded, not just enforced. The theme of this year's conference, Unlocking Africa's Cross-Border Payments, Trade and Investment Opportunities through Private-Public Partnership, speaks directly to the prevailing moment. Africa's financial evolution cannot be driven by one sector alone. It must be a collaborative effort that breaks down silos between innovators and regulators, and between governments and entrepreneurs. And to unlock this full potential of digital finance and regional trade, three things must be done. Regulators must become agile architects of inclusive, risk-based frameworks. Innovators must embed compliance and transparency from the outset, not as an afterthought. And governments must invest in national and regional Regtech infrastructure, thereby creating a financial ecosystem where every penny is traceable and every transaction is accountable. I know that people will say that it's a tall order, but I believe with technology, we can do wonders. It is only through this synergy that we can bridge the gap between vision and vigilance, and between opportunity and oversight. The recent failures of global digital finance platforms have starkly illustrated the dangers of unchecked innovation. In our own context, unregulated platforms have enabled illicit capital flows and exposed consumers to unprecedented risk. And I think, let me bring this closer home with a real and recent example, the CBEX Nigeria fraud incident. CBEX, a platform that projected itself as a legitimate crypto investment and exchange service, managed to defraud thousands of unsuspecting Nigerians of billions of naira under the guise of high-yield returns. Despite the red flags and the mounting user complaints, the platform operated unchecked for months. It eventually collapsed a few months ago, wiping out life savings and trust in digital financial services. What happened here is not just a financial fraud. It is so many things in one, and a missed opportunity for early regulatory intervention. But the government is doing everything under its powers.
Please pardon us a moment. I think the network just froze.
Regulators, law enforcement agencies, and security services. And finally, the most critical one is a command center. Financial integrity and consumer protection as a matter of national interest. Ladies and gentlemen, but let us not be carried away by the issue of technology. Before becoming the EFCC chair, I could have said that CBEX should never have happened, at least not in a system where technology and governance work hand in hand. However, beyond mechanical technology, ladies and gentlemen, there is the human mind and the human action. And thus, again, the issue of trust is very important and germane. The urgency to establish a unified regulatory authority in Nigeria and Africa at large, one that combines digital intelligence, market oversight, and national security coordination, has never been more apparent. This is not just a regulatory issue, but also a national security priority. The misuse of fintech platforms by insurgent and criminal networks has demonstrated that financial governance cannot be separated from our internal stability and sovereignty as a country. A forward-looking authority anchored in real-time surveillance, data fusion, and interagency collaboration can help insulate our economy from systemic shocks and regain global confidence, especially in Nigeria and in many other African countries that are working to meet with the international standards, such as those set off by the Financial Action Task Force. Regulatory technology is no longer a luxury. It is imperative and a must. With tools like AI-driven anti-money laundering systems, blockchain analytics, real-time transaction monitoring, Regtech empowers us to, 1, lower compliance burdens while increasing effectiveness, 2, enhance agility and precision in regulation, and 3, preempt systemic threats and enable a safer financial ecosystem. It gives us the power to scale trust, not just transactions, but to automate integrity and to make risk visible before it becomes a crisis. Africa stands at crossroads. We can either wait for regulation to catch up to innovation or design a new path that sets the global standard for inclusive, intelligence, and secured financial system. Let us move forward as Africans by, 1, harmonizing regulatory standards across the continent, especially within ECOWAS and within the Africa Continental Free Trade Area frameworks, and 2, develop digital public infrastructure, including unified identity systems and payment platforms, and finally, invest in the next generation of African regulators and compliance professionals equipped not just with knowledge, but with tools, data, and digital courage. Let us evolve from a fragmented enforcement to a coordinated institutional reform, and from a regulatory hesitation to a regulatory leadership. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, Africa's digital financial revolution is no longer on the horizon. It is unfolding before us. The choices we make today will determine whether this revolution becomes a catalyst for inclusive growth or a playground for unchecked risk. While we celebrate innovation, let us also remember that it all begins with the integrity of data. Because without trusted data, there can be no trusted systems. That is why it starts with data tech, the foundation for everything from risk intelligence to consumer protection. Then comes the Regtech, ensuring our compliance frameworks keep pace with innovation. Then followed by SupTech, empowering our regulators with the tools to supervise, anticipate, and respond in real time. Therefore, as the ecosystem expands, fintech drive access and inclusion, low-tech strengthen legal recourse, and paytech simplifies transactions. InsurTech protects lives and livelihoods. ID tech secure identities and build trust. Therefore, whether it is data tech, regtech, suptech, fintech, low-tech, paytech, insurtech, or ID tech, one thing is clear. The future belongs to those who can align innovation with integrity. Let's ensure Africa isn't just catching up, but setting the pace for the rest of the world. And finally, in this fast-evolving world of digital tools and smart systems, let us not forget that one tech we all need more than any other is that of the common sense tech. Thank you very much, and God bless you all. God bless my dear country and Africa at large. Thank you.
Thank you so very much. While you're still on cue, sir, we want to explore a common sense tech and a question to go with that. And I have a question here from the floor that says, public-private partnerships are central to combating financial crimes. What specific models or success stories have you seen, either locally or internationally, where such partnerships have significantly disrupted illicit financial flows? So you want to share with us, perhaps from your experience, some of those models or success stories that you've seen where partnership have actually helped to, deal away with a lot of these illicit and financial flows, locally or internationally. Over to you.
I'm sorry, but before I answer, what is your name, sir?
I would rather not say in public, so that I feel safe,
No,
sir.
be sure I'm a private person. I just, because
once
from
a
your,
village,
from
once,
the
once
agenda there, I thought I'm just here to deliver a keynote address. Why are you asking me a question?
I will tell you my name if you assure me. If you assure me I'm not going to get into trouble.
Anyway, just to answer you, during the course of my speech to the gathering, I made referral to the Financial Action Task Force. And in the Financial Action Task Force, we are aware of their own international standards against money laundering, financing of terrorism, and financing proliferation of weapons of mass destruction. These international standards comprises of the 40 recommendations of FATF as we know them since 2012, as well as, of course, the interpretive notes, as well as the definition of terms. And if you look at it from AMF policy, the risk-based approach and everything, they are all geared towards ensuring that government have a role to play, which is the public, whether competent authorities or law enforcement agencies, as well as financial institutions and designated non-financial institutions. If you go through the new money laundering prohibition and prevention law 2022, I think we have like 19 designated non-financial institutions. And I think financial institutions, we have more than 20 or thereabout. Now, in there is a role that everybody is expected to play. For instance, financial institutions and designated non-financial institutions are expected to be to carry out what is called customer due diligence. on people that they are transacting with. And after conducting this, if there is any transaction that is suspicious, they are expected, for instance, to report to the NFIU. And beyond even reporting suspicious transactions, they are expected to report currency transaction reports. So I believe that with proper investment of these platforms across all, across board, within the private sector as well as within the government, it can help in great deal in solving our problems. But just as I've mentioned during the course of my speech to you, irrespective of what technology you deploy, the human mind and the human action is there to sabotage, all of this thing. And that is why we have to build trust. We have to change our own attitude, as people, to be able to deal with these issues to avoid illicit capital flows across our financial system.
Thank you so very much, Mr. Abdulrasheed Bawa, the former executive chairman of EFCC. My name is Stephen Lawson, now that I know that I'm free. So
you are the Stephen.
Ah! Please, can you put your hands together for Mr. Bawa?